You eat well, stay active, and try to do everything right, but something still feels off. You wake up tired, need more naps than you used to, or just don't feel as sharp. And the surprising truth? The culprit might not be age, it might be protein. Yes, protein, that nutrient we've been told builds muscle and keeps us strong. But after 60, how and when we consume protein can actually be the hidden reason we feel drained instead of energized. Let's talk about the 5 most common protein mistakes many people over 60 make, and what to do instead. 1. Eating too little protein throughout the day. It's a quiet habit, one that sneaks in slowly over the years. You might not even notice it at first. A skipped breakfast here. A light lunch there. A small handful of something at dinner because your appetite just isn't what it used to be. But that quiet habit can lead to a very loud consequence: fatigue. Many adults over 60 simply aren't eating enough protein, not necessarily by choice, but because aging changes our relationship with food. Our metabolism slows. Hormonal shifts influence hunger. Our sense of taste might fade. Chewing and digestion can become less efficient. So we start to choose softer foods, smaller portions, or carb-heavy meals that are easier to eat but lack the key nutrients we need. Protein is one of the most important of those nutrients. It's not just about muscle, although it certainly helps maintain the strength and balance that protect us from falls and frailty. Protein is also essential for creating the enzymes and hormones that keep your energy levels steady throughout the day. When your protein intake is too low, your body has fewer building blocks to repair tissue, support immune function, and regulate metabolism. Here's the twist. Even if you're getting enough total calories, if they're not rich in protein, your body could still act like it's running on empty. And here's what often happens. You feel more tired than usual, so you rest more. You rest more, so your muscles weaken. Your muscles weaken, so your energy drops further. It's a cycle that begins subtly and deepens slowly until one day, just getting through the afternoon feels like a mountain to climb. Let's talk numbers for a moment, just to give this some shape. The current recommended dietary allowance, RDA, for protein is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. But for older adults, many researchers and geriatric dietitians now recommend 1.0 to 1.2 grams per kilogram, sometimes even higher for those recovering from illness or injury. That means if you weigh 150 pounds, your protein needs might be closer to 75 to 82 grams per day, not 55 or 60 like you might have been told years ago. And those grams matter. Not just for your muscles, but for your energy, your clarity, your immunity, your mood. Now, one common mistake people make, especially in later years, is saving the bulk of their protein for dinner. A modest breakfast, a sandwich at lunch, then a heavier protein source at night. The problem? The body can only use a certain amount of protein at one time to build and repair muscle. The rest? It's less efficiently used, sometimes even stored as fat. So if you're eating only 10 grams of protein in the morning and 15 at lunch, then trying to cram in 40 at dinner, your body misses out on the opportunity to stay fueled throughout the day. The solution is to spread protein intake more evenly and to be intentional about it. Aim for 20 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. That's a palm-sized piece of chicken, a couple of eggs and some yogurt, or a hearty lentil stew with quinoa. Breakfast is an especially critical time to get that first boost. It sets the tone for your metabolism, muscle synthesis, and energy production for the rest of the day. If you're not a big eater in the morning, consider smoothies with protein powder, soft scrambled eggs, cottage cheese with fruit, or even a savory bowl of oatmeal with nuts and seeds. Lunch could include tuna on whole grain bread, a bean salad with avocado, or a tofu stir-fry. At dinner, aim for variety: fish, poultry, legumes, and occasional red meat or tempeh if you like. One last note. Protein needs change with time, but so do protein sources. Your body might not tolerate certain foods the way it once did. You may need softer textures, simpler meals, or help from a dietitian to tailor your plan. And that's okay. What matters is being aware of the shift and gently adjusting course. 2. Relying too heavily on one type of protein. There's a comfort in routine, especially when it comes to meals. We find the foods that feel easy on the stomach, familiar to the palate, and simple to prepare. And so, over time, many older adults fall into the habit of relying on just one or two types of protein day after day, often animal-based sources like chicken, eggs, or dairy. It's not wrong, and it's certainly not uncommon. But if that's your only approach, you might be missing out on the full spectrum of energy-supporting nutrition your body truly needs after 60. Let's begin with the basic truth. Not all proteins are created equal. Yes, they all provide amino acids, the building blocks of muscle and many essential body functions. But different sources of protein bring with them different nutritional profiles. Some are rich in iron, some in B vitamins. Some are loaded with anti-inflammatory compounds, while others may carry more saturated fats. If your daily protein comes from the same single food group, you're likely getting too much of certain nutrients and too little of others. Let's paint a picture of what that looks like. Imagine someone who eats eggs for breakfast, a turkey sandwich at lunch, and grilled chicken for dinner. That's protein at every meal, which, on paper, seems like a win. But it's all animal protein. It's limited in fiber. It may lack plant-based antioxidants. And it can be high in cholesterol or saturated fat depending on how it's prepared. Over time, this pattern can contribute to inflammation, digestive sluggishness, or even heart strain, especially in those who may already be managing chronic conditions. Meanwhile, someone else might lean heavily on plant proteins, say, beans or tofu, which offer fiber and heart-healthy benefits. But if not balanced correctly, that same person may struggle to get enough of certain essential amino acids, vitamin B12, or iron, all of which are critical for energy production and cognitive clarity as we age. This is why variety matters so deeply, especially after 60. Your body is more sensitive to nutritional gaps, and your digestion and absorption may not be as efficient as it once was. Getting your protein from a range of sources ensures you're not just building muscle, but also feeding your blood, your brain, your bones, and your immune system. So, what does a balanced protein day really look like? Start with breakfast. Sure, eggs are great. They're a complete protein and rich in choline, which supports brain health. But try switching it up with Greek yogurt and chia seeds, or a slice of whole grain toast with almond butter and hemp hearts. Maybe a protein smoothie with spinach, plant-based protein powder, and frozen berries. Lunch could be a lentil salad tossed with olive oil and feta, or a bowl of soup made from split peas or black beans, paired with whole grain crackers and hummus. Or try a wrap with grilled tofu or tempeh, dressed in lemon tahini. At dinner, rotate your choices. Yes, have that grilled chicken if you like, but alternate it with fish, especially fatty ones like salmon or sardines for omega-3s, lean cuts of beef if your iron is low, or a veggie pack stir-fry with edamame and cashews. You can even embrace cultural staples like quinoa, which is a complete protein all on its own. And don't forget snacks. A handful of roasted chickpeas, a boiled egg, a protein bar, a slice of cheese with apple slices, or a spoonful of cottage cheese with cinnamon. These small additions help fill in gaps and maintain steady energy between meals. Now, if you're thinking, this sounds like a lot of change, it doesn't have to happen overnight. Start small. Swap out one meat-based meal per week for a plant-based alternative. Or simply rotate between different protein sources across a few days. Over time, this variety becomes second nature, and so does the vitality it brings. Also worth noting, as we age, some people develop sensitivities to certain proteins, especially dairy or red meat. Pay attention to how your body responds. If a particular food leaves you bloated, sluggish, or uncomfortable, it may be time to explore alternatives. This is where guidance from a nutritionist or a registered dietitian can be invaluable, especially if you're managing other conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or kidney issues. In the end, the goal isn't perfection. It's balance. By diversifying your protein sources, you're not just feeding your muscles, you're supporting your energy, protecting your heart, easing digestion, and giving your body the nourishment it needs to thrive through the years ahead. 3. Eating protein too late in the day. This is one of the most overlooked mistakes, not just by older adults, but by people of all ages. It seems harmless enough. You eat a light breakfast, maybe a modest lunch, and then come dinner time, you finally settle into a hearty meal. Perhaps it's grilled chicken, a piece of fish, or a comforting bowl of beef stew. The protein is there, but it comes at the end of the day when your body is winding down rather than gearing up. Here's the problem: your muscles and metabolism don't run on what you ate last. They run on what you ate consistently. And spreading your protein evenly across the day is one of the simplest and most effective ways to support energy, strength, and cellular repair, especially after 60. Let's break this down a bit. When you wake up in the morning, your body is in a fasted state. You've likely gone 10, 12, maybe even 14 hours without food. During that time, your body has been breaking down nutrients, repairing cells, and drawing energy from your reserves. What you eat in the first hours of your day, especially your protein, helps refill those tanks, stabilize your blood sugar, and kickstart your metabolism. When you skip or delay protein in the morning, your body remains in a catabolic state. That's the scientific term for breaking down. It starts breaking down muscle tissue to get the amino acids it needs to function. And over time, this contributes to muscle loss, weakness, and yes, that constant creeping fatigue that so many older adults struggle with but can't quite explain. Muscle loss, also known as sarcopenia, begins in our 30s, but it accelerates sharply after 60. The body simply becomes less efficient at rebuilding muscle unless it receives clear signals. And one of those signals is regular, high-quality protein spaced throughout the day. You might be wondering, what's the big deal if I eat most of my protein at dinner? Doesn't it all count in the end? Well, it's not just about total intake. It's about timing and utilization. Think of your body like a sponge. When it's dry, it soaks up water quickly. But once it's saturated, it can't absorb much more. Similarly, your muscles can only use so much protein at a time for repair and growth. The rest either goes unused or is converted to energy or stored. So if you eat just 10 grams of protein in the morning and then flood your system with 50 grams at dinner, your body can only do so much with that late-night surplus. It's not efficient, and it's not helping you stay strong, sharp, and energized throughout the day. Here's a better approach. Aim for 30 grams of protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, with smaller amounts in between as needed. This spacing supports muscle protein synthesis, the process your body uses to maintain and rebuild lean tissue. Let's imagine how that might look. Breakfast: a smoothie with protein powder, almond butter, and Greek yogurt. Or scrambled eggs with spinach and whole grain toast. Lunch: a bowl of lentil soup with quinoa, or a turkey and avocado wrap with a side of cottage cheese. Dinner: grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, and a serving of farro or brown rice. This rhythm, protein early, protein often, protein balanced, doesn't just help with muscle. It also stabilizes your blood sugar, reduces cravings, and supports brain function. That's especially important if you've ever found yourself feeling foggy in the afternoon, or hungry an hour after lunch. Chances are your protein intake wasn't enough or it came too late. There's another reason late-day protein can be problematic. Digestion slows as we age. Eating a heavy, protein-rich meal late in the evening can lead to discomfort, bloating, or restless sleep, especially if it's paired with fats, sauces, or starches. Your body has to work harder to process it, and you may feel that work in the form of disrupted rest, nighttime reflux, or morning sluggishness. So instead of saving protein for the end of your day, give your body what it needs when it needs it most, during the waking, active hours when you move, think, and live. If you're not used to eating a high-protein breakfast or lunch, start small. Add an egg or a spoonful of peanut butter. Try a protein-rich yogurt or a glass of milk. These changes build momentum. 4. Ignoring protein quality. Not all protein builds you up the same way. It's easy to think of protein as one big category. You hear the word and immediately picture meat, eggs, or maybe a scoop of peanut butter. But after the age of 60, when the body becomes more sensitive to nutrient deficiencies and slower to repair itself, the quality of the protein you eat becomes just as important as the amount. And that's where many people, even the health conscious, start to lose their footing. Let's start with something simple. What does protein quality even mean? At its core, protein quality refers to how well a protein source provides the essential amino acids your body cannot make on its own. There are 20 amino acids your body uses to function, but 9 of them are considered essential, meaning they must come from your diet. A high-quality protein contains all 9 in the right balance. These proteins are often referred to as complete proteins. Think of it like building a house. If you're missing even one critical material, say bricks or nails, construction slows down. In your body, missing just one amino acid can reduce your ability to repair muscle, balance hormones, support your immune system, or even regulate mood. Complete proteins are typically found in animal sources: meat, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy. That's one reason these foods are often praised for supporting strength and vitality in later years. But here's the nuance. Just because a protein is complete doesn't mean it's automatically ideal for you. Let's take red meat, for example. It's a complete protein, rich in iron, zinc, and B12, all vital nutrients for older adults. But it also tends to be high in saturated fat, which can raise LDL cholesterol and strain the heart. Over time, excessive red meat intake has been linked to inflammation, which saps energy and contributes to chronic disease. Or consider processed meats, deli cuts, sausages, bacon. They're technically protein, yes, but they often contain nitrates, excess sodium, and additives that can increase the risk of hypertension, kidney strain, and fatigue. For someone already managing blood pressure or cardiovascular health, these hidden ingredients can quietly chip away at your well-being. On the flip side, many plant proteins, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds are lower in one or more essential amino acids. This doesn't make them bad. In fact, they're often high in fiber, low in saturated fat, and full of protective antioxidants. But if you're relying on them alone without combining different types, you may fall short on those critical amino acids needed to stay strong and energized. So what's the answer? The key is to balance quality with variety. Choose high-quality proteins often, but think beyond just meat. Here's a helpful approach. Incorporate complete proteins daily, such as eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or fish. These are gentle on digestion and nutrient-dense. Pair incomplete plant proteins to form a complete amino acid profile. For example, rice and beans together form a complete protein. So do hummus with whole grain pita or oatmeal with almonds. Choose leaner animal proteins more often, like chicken, turkey, and fish, especially oily fish like salmon or sardines, which support brain and heart health. Limit heavily processed meats, and if you eat red meat, keep portions moderate and lean. Explore high-quality plant-based protein powders if appetite or chewing is a challenge. Look for options that combine sources like pea, rice, or hemp to provide a full amino acid profile. Now here's something most people don't realize. After 60, your body becomes less efficient at using protein to build muscle, a concept known as anabolic resistance. This means you actually need higher quality protein more often to get the same benefit your younger body once received from less. That's why quality matters more than ever. It's not just about hitting a number of grams. It's about giving your body protein it can recognize, break down, and use effectively. There's also a digestive element to this. As we age, stomach acid levels tend to decrease. That can make it harder to absorb protein, particularly from heavy meats or large portions eaten at once. This is another reason why softer proteins like yogurt, smoothies, or eggs can be more efficient for older adults. They're gentler, easier to digest, and often absorbed more completely. Let's not forget convenience. Protein powders, ready-to-drink shakes, or protein-rich snacks like roasted chickpeas or boiled eggs can fill in gaps when cooking feels like a chore. Quality isn't always about cooking from scratch, it's about making intentional choices, even in simple moments. 5. Forgetting to combine protein with the right nutrients. By now you understand that protein is essential for energy, strength, and repair, especially after 60. But here's the final piece of the puzzle, and it's one many people miss: protein doesn't work alone. Your body is a symphony, not a solo performance. And if you're eating protein without pairing it with the nutrients that help it do its job, you could be leaving much of its power untapped. Let's start with one of the most overlooked companions to protein: fiber. When you think of energy, you probably think of carbohydrates, the good kind. Complex carbs like oats, sweet potatoes, or brown rice. These are important, yes. But what often gets ignored is how fiber works with protein to create sustained energy and stable blood sugar. After 60, your body becomes more sensitive to fluctuations in blood sugar. Large swings can lead to feelings of exhaustion, mental fog, and even dizziness. When you eat protein with fiber, such as lentils, quinoa, nuts, or vegetables, it slows digestion in a good way. That means steadier energy, fewer cravings, and less of the afternoon crash that so many people blame on aging when it's actually a nutritional imbalance. Next, let's talk about healthy fats. The fats found in avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, and fatty fish don't just help your heart and brain, they increase the absorption of certain nutrients that ride along with protein. Vitamins A, D, E, and K, for example, are all fat-soluble. Without the presence of fat, they can pass through your system without being fully absorbed. That's especially important as you age because your body becomes less efficient at pulling nutrients from food. Think of it this way: protein builds the house. Healthy fats keep the lights on. Fiber keeps the doors open and the air flowing. Alone, protein can only do so much. But together, they turn your meals into full body support systems. Now, let's look at another key nutrient that often gets forgotten in the protein conversation: vitamin B12. This vitamin is crucial for energy production, red blood cell formation, and nervous system health. It's primarily found in animal-based proteins, meats, eggs, dairy. But even if you eat these foods, absorption becomes trickier as you age. Why? Because your stomach produces less of a compound called intrinsic factor, which is needed to absorb B12 efficiently. That means even if you're getting enough B12 in your diet, your body might not be absorbing it. Low B12 can cause fatigue, memory problems, numbness, or even mood swings, symptoms that often get misattributed to just getting older. If you've been feeling tired despite eating well, talk to your doctor about checking your B12 levels. You may benefit from a supplement, a fortified food, or a more absorbable form of B12 such as methylcobalamin. Let's not forget vitamin D and calcium, either two nutrients that support the muscle function protein is trying to maintain. Without enough vitamin D, your muscles may stay weak even if your protein intake is solid. Vitamin D helps with muscle contraction, balance, and immune function, all vital in your 60s and beyond. Calcium, meanwhile, is critical for bone strength. Protein and calcium work in tandem to keep your structure strong and your movements fluid. Magnesium and potassium are also key players. They help your body actually use the amino acids from protein to build muscle and support cellular energy. Low magnesium can cause fatigue, cramps, and even poor sleep, another indirect energy thief. So what's the solution? Eat protein in context. Build meals that are balanced, not just filling. Here are a few examples. Breakfast: a protein smoothie made with spinach, magnesium, Greek yogurt, calcium and B12, chia seeds, fiber and fat, and berries, antioxidants. Lunch: a salad with grilled salmon, protein and omega-3s, avocado, healthy fat, and mixed greens, vitamins and minerals, paired with quinoa, complete protein and fiber. Dinner: a tofu stir-fry with vegetables, brown rice, sesame oil, and a handful of cashews, protein, fiber, healthy fat, and a spectrum of micronutrients. If snacks are part of your day, choose ones that pair protein with fiber or fat. Try an apple with almond butter, hummus with carrots, or a slice of cheese with whole grain crackers. The goal isn't perfection. It's awareness. With each meal, ask yourself, am I supporting my protein with the right partners? If not, start small. Add a sprinkle of seeds. Swap white rice for a whole grain. Blend in a handful of greens. Because energy after 60 isn't just about what you eat. It's about how you build your plate and how well each ingredient supports the others. When you give your body the full cast of characters, protein, fiber, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals, you create a meal that does more than fill you up. It fuels you forward. And that's the kind of energy we all deserve, steady, nourishing, and strong enough to carry us into the next beautiful chapter of life. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to My Reboot for more inspiring, science-backed insights tailored to your journey after 60.